Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Monday Night Sports Talk. I am joined by my brothers Ali and Jack, and we'll be giving you guys the latest up-to-date news about the New York Jets head coaching search and basically all the latest buzz that's surrounding this great organization in the New York Jets. So, that being said, how is it going, Jack and Ali? We'll start with you, Jack.
It's going well, man. The season's over. The worst season we've ever seen as fans of this team, and it feels good to be able to watch some real football this past weekend and enjoy watching football again, and think to the future of the Jets. Now, the off season's the best time of the year, so it's finally here. Feeling good.
Yes, sir. The offseason is indeed the best time of the year to be a Jets fan, and hopefully that will change because I'm sick of looking forward to the offseason. I want to be making content about the playoffs at least once. Well, it will be once. Maybe if not next year, the year after. Who knows? Try to be optimistic, guys. But Ali, how you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Let's talk Jets.
Let's talk Jets because why not, man? So a lot has been going around the New York Jets organization. We've interviewed a ton of candidates. And here's a quick little graphic of everybody we have interviewed for those guys that are not up to date on it so far. So here are the all 9 Jets known interviews, courtesy of Ralph Vacchiano's Twitter. He tweeted this out. So Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, Marvin Lewis, Robert Saleh, Joe Brady, Brian Dable, Matt Eberle. You guys know the drill. You guys can read. Am I right? So don't expect these to be the only 9 that we interview. We are going to be interviewing a lot more people. Also add Aaron Glenn to this as well. We finished an interview with him just before. So let's just get right into those 9 guys and anybody else that we're expected to hire. So give me your top 3 head coaches so far. Top 3 head coaching candidates that we have interviewed so far, or some guys that you think that we should interview. So at least starting with you.
My guy is Joe Brady. I've liked him since, and I've heard rumors that the interview went well with the Jets. And why wouldn't it? I mean, he's changed LSU, he's changed Carolina. I mean, in Carolina, he had 4 individual players have 1,000 scrimmage yards this season, and they were not even close to being a playoff team, but they still produced on offense, and that's really big time, for a guy that came in for his first time as offense coordinator from college and produced that well. And the Jets, I don't know when the last time the Jets had a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Like, we have never had that in so long, maybe since Brandon Marshall. So, he also developed Joe Burrow in LSU, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I mean, he has developed a lot of guys, and he's an exciting, young, talented, football-minded guy, and I think he would boost up the Jets in a big-time way, and I think, he would be my number one after Matt Campbell is pretty much staying at Ohio State. He became my number one guy, Joe Brady. Another guy is Robert Salah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's going to come to the Jets. I think he's going to go to Detroit. But, man, he's very impressive. His defense is very good. His defense had a lot of holes this entire year. He lost in and out. Everyone was in and out, and he still produced. I mean, he was top 5 in yards per game, pass yards per game, and third down. I mean, he's top 5 in all those categories. He brings the heat every game. I think it's just, it's interesting to see how, like, a defensive guy is producing, and with that much talent gone on that defense with injuries and stuff, and he keeps producing. That's something the Jets would probably want, and a team that, like, all the players want to play for, and that's what Robert Salah is. So I would be not mad with Robert Salah. And that last guy is Brian Dable, Bills offense coordinator. I mean, he didn't have the greatest showing this past weekend. But again, he changed Josh Allen's career around. I mean, he built him into a top 5 quarterback, MVP candidate. That Bills offense is number 2 in the league. I mean, I just saw a rumor. I don't know how it is on Twitter, but he's very interested in the Jets job. So I don't know how true that is. But he could be a guy the Jets bring in. They bring in a rival guy. But yeah, he has a chance of being a head coach, and the Jets have been interviewing the right guys. And, that's the positives you can take from it.
Yeah, so as we know, there's so many coaches, and Joe Douglas said himself, we are diving into a wide net of different candidates, and we've interviewed 9 potential people to be the next head coach for the New York Jets. So it's a lot to dissect, it's a lot to get opinions on, and it's a lot of research because a lot of people don't know everything about all 9 candidates because that's a lot to know. And to be honest, I don't really blame Jets fans that don't know a lot of all 9. I mean, there are some Jets fans on Twitter that are so into the coaching search, and I am myself, but it's not easy to get educated on 9 to 12 different potential coaching candidates. So with that being said, Jack, what's your top 3 candidates?
I'm going to go with Dable as my number 1 because I'm super impressed by what he's done with Josh Allen. We were all saying Josh Allen's a scrub. Josh Allen is trash. But rest in peace being able to call Josh Allen trash. I saw a funny meme about that. But yeah, Dable is a 5-time Super Bowl champion as an assistant coach. He's got the pedigree, which is a word that everybody loves. He's got the experience, and now we know that he's got the experience in developing a young guy, which is exactly what we need to be successful in the near future on this Jets team. So Dable is definitely going to be my number 1. I will say that I really want an offensive-minded head coach as opposed to a defensive guy, although I do like Salah a lot. I think he kind of fits that leadership CEO type role, motivator, leader that we're kind of looking for. But I would go with an offensive guy. I do like Arthur Smith, honestly. Like, same kind of deal with Josh Allen. With Josh Allen and Brian Dable. Ryan Tannehill's career has been revived. By Adam, he was stuck under the Adam Gase shadow, as we know too well at this point. But Arthur Smith has made Tannehill play, almost as good as any other quarterback in the league. Obviously, we got Rodgers going crazy this year and Mahomes always doing his thing, but Tannehill is up there as a solid quarterback in this league now. He really is. Obviously, we saw what happened this past week. The Ravens finally got their revenge game against the Titans, but I'm still super impressed with what Arthur Smith has done with Ryan Tannehill and just the entire Tennessee Titans offense as a whole. So I would say Dable, Arthur Smith. I like the idea of Greg Roman. I don't know if anything's confirmed about that though, but that's a name that I heard floating around a lot that I liked. But I really want to go offense over a defensive guy. I miss the days of a head coach being a head coach and the coordinators, doing their things, but it doesn't seem like that's the state of the NFL currently these days. So I'd much rather go with an offensive guy, a real offensive guy, not like Adam Gase. But yeah, that's just my take on it, man.
Awesome. So yeah, man, those are Jack's top 3 candidates. I guess it's my turn. So it's hard for me to figure out my top 3, to be honest. I'm all over the place, and I'm honestly not the majority of people that like a lot of these people. So to be honest, there's a lot of fan favorite candidates that I'm not fans of personally. I mean, who am I to say, right? But guys like Joe Brady just concerns me just because he had 1 year in the NFL as an offensive coordinator. I don't know too much about Joe Brady's personal leadership skills because you guys know me. Over and over, I said the qualities I want for the Jets head coaching job is a CEO type of guy that will coach the entire locker room. I don't care if you're a good offensive mind. You need to be way more than just a good offensive mind because we're not hiring you to coach the offense. We're hiring you to coach the New York Jets organization and turning this around and turning the culture because we are known to be the worst organization in sports right now, if not one of the worst. And in my opinion, bringing in a guy that does not have the great leadership culture skills in order to communicate from top to bottom and just bringing in a good, innovative offensive mind would be a mistake to me personally. I'm not saying that Joe Brady and all these other guys are not good offensive minds. I'm just a little skeptical about bringing in somebody that lacks leadership skills and he's just known to be a good offensive mind. So with that being said, my top 3 guys in no order I'm really high on Robert Saleh personally. I just love his fiery intensity and passion to the game. I feel like the Jets need somebody that can come in here and just be a guy that the Jets players look at and say, I want to ride or die for this coach. And he's a defensive minded coach, but he is going to coach up the entire squad. You see him on the sidelines for the 49ers just screaming his head off. He has that high intensity that I feel like this Jets organization needs. Somebody that's passionate. The complete opposite of Gase on the sidelines. Gase would just look like an absolute stale maniac with his mask covering 90% of his face. But I digress. Arthur Smith is a guy that I'm still a little concerned about because he looks like a stale guy that's just so good offensive mind that doesn't have any energy, doesn't have anything that charisma that I want. He just looks like another offensive coordinator that should be an offensive coordinator. I just don't feel like I could be completely wrong. Again, this is my opinion. If you guys disagree, that is totally okay. I'm just voicing my opinion. But guys like Arthur Smith and Joe Brady kind of just they get me a little worried in terms of the leadership skills. Can they coach the entire team? I do not want to hire an offensive coordinator that's just going to focus on one side of the ball because we saw what happened with Gase. I'm not comparing Arthur Smith and Joe Brady to Adam Gase by any means, but I definitely want somebody that will coach the entire squad. Eric Bieniemy, obviously he's an offensive mind, but he is a guy to me that I've done a lot of research on him. I've seen a lot of interviews. I've seen so many great things about him. And I love his leadership ability. That is a very underrated aspect to Eric Bieniemy that I feel like people get overlooked at. So he's definitely my top three. It's probably Eric Bieniemy, Robert Saleh, and I feel like Brandon Staley is a very underrated candidate for the Jets because he's a young, defensive-minded coach that was a former quarterback, and he could be that guy that brings two perspectives to the Jets, an offensive, defensive mind, and he has going to be the Sean McVay of defense. And I feel like we need a young, innovative, energetic type of guy. I don't care if it's offensive, defensive, special teams. I want a guy that's going to coach the entire organization because I am not a fan of bringing in a guy that's an offensive coordinator that's just known to be a good offensive mind to be the head coach. And Brian Dable, he fits that mold. So I don't know a lot about the leadership qualities and the characters of these offensive coordinators like Joe Brady, Brian Dable, and Arthur Smith. I'm not educated on it, so I'm not going to give my opinion. I'm just unknown, and I don't know if they have the leadership qualities. If any of them get hired to be the coach, like say Arthur Smith or Brian Dable or Joe Brady are the ones that get hired. I trust Joe Douglas's judgment that in the interview, I could tell that these guys do have the character and the charisma to lead the entire organization. But that's just my take because I'm unaware and I don't know how good these guys are at leading an entire organization. So that's my take. Another guy that's no one's really talking about, and we just interviewed him a couple hours ago, is Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is a former Jet cornerback, and he was a former scout, and now he is the secondaries coach for the New Orleans Saints. This is a guy that I feel like is a very intriguing candidate because nobody expected the Jets to interview him. And I feel like he could potentially fit the mold of what I'm talking about and a CEO type of coach that can come in and just be that fiery energy guy that can coach the entire team and you hire good coordinators under him. I feel like that's what this Jets team needs the most, and particularly the New York Jets organization, because we've been so bad for so many years and we have no culture in place. So my number one thing is bring in a guy, I don't care which side of the ball he coaches, that will bring high intensity and just bring energy. You guys know I've been saying it over and over. So I guess what I'm explaining is Robert Saleh, because that's basically, I guess, my favorite guy that I want. So that's my take of who I think the Jets should hire. But it's going to be a long, interesting, potentially crazy head coaching search. So that's my take on it. So let's get into our least favorite that we don't want. So one coach we have interviewed and you do not want to be the hire. I have a feeling we all are going to have similar answers here. Jack, starting with you.
I think we're all probably going to say Marvin Lewis, right? I don't know. Hopefully that was just to I saw a tweet, somebody said hopefully that was just to appeal to the Johnsons, and Joe Douglas knows in his own mind that there's no chance. That's exactly how I feel about that. I mean, I believe Marvin Lewis's legacy is 0-7 in the playoffs. And that's not the guy I want to come to this Jets team and lead the team. I know Marvin Lewis is a good guy, and I know he does have respect as a head coach, but realistically, if we're being honest, his legacy is losing. So that's not the guy I want to come in and lead this team. I know he does fit the leadership role that we're looking for, but I just don't think it is. It would result in anything positive happening for the Jets in the long run, hiring Marvin Lewis personally.
So I realized we got 69 people in the stream right now. Welcome in, everybody. If you guys did not already smash that thumbs up button, please do it for us. If you guys are enjoying this edition of Monday Night Sports Talk, make sure you thumbs up the video and check the description if you guys want to check us out on social medias. Again, make sure you smash that thumbs up so we can get as many Jets fans in here, because we're going to open this up to a Jets Q&A to finish off the stream, so you guys can send us in any questions. So make sure you smash that like button so we get as many people in here as possible. So, Ali, who is one guy you really hope the Jets do not touch and hire as the Jets' next head coach?
I guess it's Marvin Lewis, but like that's the one guy no one really wants. Because if you're trying to get a young quarterback in there, you don't want Marvin Lewis to coach him. Like no one ever wants a guy like him to be like, oh, Marvin Lewis is my head coach. And that's just not, I mean, yeah, he went to the playoffs, but did he win a playoff game? Hell no. So that's the resume right there. I mean, he was a coach of the year in 2009, but it was in 2009. I mean, that was 11 years ago. It's done. It's donezo. And, I just don't know. Marvin Lewis is not the guy. We're going to talk about Doug Peterson in a little bit.
I'm back.
But Doug Peterson is one of the guys that I do not want to have, but it could be a possibility. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, Marvin Lewis is the guy that I don't want.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis, I think, is all of our guys we don't want to see. But me personally, I just don't. I understand the overreaction. Jets fans are a little, they're a little scarred from the Adam Gase hire. So I don't think it would be the end of the world if Marvin Lewis is the guy, but that's not my number one candidate. It's my last candidate we interviewed for sure. But I understand he's 0-7 in the playoffs, but he's a guy that he checks off every box that Douglas is looking for in terms of the character and leadership. And I mean, he was a good enough coach to bring the Bengals to the playoffs 7 years in a row or something like that. So he is a good coach. I don't think Marvin Lewis's time in the NFL is over. I think he's going to get a job somewhere and be successful, because I think he's very underrated, to be honest. But I don't think it would be a smart move for the Jets to do it. But at the same time, I don't hate it as much as most Jets fans. Another guy that I don't really want, to be honest, is the Colts defensive coordinator. I'm not too fond about him. I don't know about his background. I know the Colts had a great defense, but he could be faded. So now let's get into our predictions. So who are we going to predict to be the next Jets head coach if you're going to put money on it and win money? Everybody in the chat right now, don't say who you want to be the head coach. Predict who will be the next Jets head coach. If you guys are right, we're going to come back to this stream, and we're going to be like, haha, I knew it. So, Jack, give me your bold prediction.
I have a really scary prediction, honestly. And it's probably something we're definitely going to get into tonight. But I'm going to say Doug Peterson, man. It's so scary, but we know he has a strong relationship with Joe Douglas. They obviously work together in Philadelphia. We obviously found out a couple hours ago that he's no longer employed by the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm terrified because I feel like the tank master himself is going to be the next head coach, man. That's just like a crazy, like, pit of despair feeling I have inside of me right now after this horrible season we just witnessed. But yeah, after seeing the news break today about Doug Peterson, I instantly thought, I'm like, oh man, Joe Douglas is going to at least interview Doug Peterson for sure.
Ali, how about you?
I'll talk about him a little bit, but yeah, I don't agree. I don't get the people, getting. I understand that people are getting a little bit crazy about Doug Peterson name coming up, but I don't even think he wants to coach in 2021. So that's my opinion. But I don't know. Jets are gonna interview a lot of, like, 10 more candidates probably. But man, I think Joe Brady, man, I really do. I know I like Joe Brady a lot. I brag about Joe Brady a lot. But man, he's been impressive in all his interviews. Every top level guy who's reporting this says Joe Brady is killing in every interview, and people are specifically saying the Jets interview he's killed it. And I don't know. I think he brings in that young guy mentality. He has a young minded in football. He's gonna want his own quarterback. He's gonna want that's a guy that some people want to build around. And I don't know, if he gets a good offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, I think that young of a guy and young of a talent could get that done. And I really do think it's gonna be Joe Brady. Either Joe Brady or Brian Dable. Brian Dable is heavy in right now because I think he's deciding heavy interest from Jets and Chargers. So we'll see what happens there. But I think it's gonna be Joe Brady.
So we got Joe Brady and we got Doug Peterson from Jack.
Let me make a quick point. I feel like I want Dable so bad. As you guys said, he's my number one. I mean, as I said, he's my number one. But compare the Jets job. I would say Dable is like, besides Bieniemy, like Dable is in like really high demand. He's like probably like in the highest demand for all these head coaching jobs next year, besides maybe Eric Bieniemy. But way the Jets job and the Chargers job, it like doesn't even compare. Like the Chargers are like ready to win. I feel like already, like they have their quarterback, they have great receivers, they have like great pieces on defense. They just have a good team, Like I was really surprised at their record this year. I know they had a lot of close games where it was like a one possession game that they lost. I feel like Dable, if given the opportunity, is gonna run to LA and get Justin Herbert. He's gonna go from Josh Allen to Justin Herbert. This is just, listen, man, I want Dable, but if it was me and I was in demand and I saw Justin Herbert versus who knows who's gonna be the quarterback next year, I'm running to Los Angeles. So I feel like obviously we all know that losing Trevor Lawrence really did us dirty in terms of being the hottest spot for a coaching candidate next year. So I feel like we could potentially miss out on a guy like Dable just because of where we are versus other organizations.
Interesting. Definitely Brian Dable has two options, and the Chargers option is way more attractive than the Jets. Jack brings up a great point. My prediction is going to be Eric Bieniemy will be the New York Jets' next head coach, and I will be jumping for joy because I wanted him 2 years ago, and I want him now. He deserves to be a head coach. He should have been a head coach 2 years ago, and the reason why is because he's learning from one of the best, if not the best coach in the game right now that's coaching to where and the NFL's going. Yeah, that's right. I said it, Christopher Johnson. And I just feel like he's a very underrated leader. And I feel like that's what this Jets team needs the most. And so that's my prediction, Eric Bieniemy. So let's talk about Doug Peterson. So Doug Peterson's fired from the Eagles. Will the Jets pursue him? So I'm the only one that ever talked about this so far out of us. So as we know, Doug Peterson is tied up to Joe Douglas, and Ali brings up a good point that he might not even want to coach this year. So I guess I'm just I'm the minority of Jets fans when it comes to this head coaching search, because it seems like who everybody wants, I don't want, and who everybody don't want, I'm okay with. Doug Peterson brought the Eagles to a championship with Nick Foles, and he defeated Tom Brady and made Nick Foles look like a completely MVP quarterback. I understand Doug Peterson's season in 2020 was absolutely detrimental, but Doug Peterson is a CEO type of head coach that this Jets team needs. And the way he went out in 2020 is 100% a concern, and why a lot of Jets fans are running away from him and why we do not want him, because he lost the locker room and all these things are concerning. But I don't know. Doug Peterson is not even close to the top of my list or who I want to be the Jets next head coach. But if he becomes the Jets next head coach, I'm personally not crying like 95% of Jets fans are. I think it's going to be a good match just because they are, Joe Douglas and Doug Peterson are very well close and friends, and they can have that nice synergy. And that head coach and GM combination needs to be working. And Doug Peterson has had success in this league. He made Carson Wentz. He was about to be an MVP before he tore his ACL. And then Nick Foles comes in that same year and he brings Nick Foles to the Super Bowl and they beat the Patriots. So yeah, I know I'm just talking about one season, and there's some Jets fans saying, oh, Doug Peterson's would be a next Adam Gase hire. You cannot compare somebody that won a Super Bowl to a guy that like Adam Gase, who his biggest accolade is being the offensive coordinator for the greatest quarterback ever, Peyton Manning, and he had his career year there. That is completely terrible. You cannot compare Adam Gase to Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson is a very good leader, and you saw all the Eagles players' reactions when he got fired. Zach Ertz tweeted out that he loves his coach. Chris Long, Jason Kelsey, all these guys were just raving about how much respect they have for Doug Peterson. And I know what he did to end off the 2020 year. That tank job was a big concern, but I honestly don't think it's the end of the world if that happens. And to finish it off with this whole take, I don't think he will be the next Jets head coach. I don't think it will happen. I genuinely don't think he will be in the conversation just because Joe Douglas and Christopher Johnson have had numerous interviews. They dug deep into all of these already. And just because Doug Peterson just got fired today doesn't mean Douglas be like, oh my God, all right, let's go. He's ours. So that's what I would say to Jets fans about Doug Peterson. That's my take. But I'll shift it over to you, Jack. Do you think the Jets will pursue him? And do you think there's a chance that he gets to be the guy?
I mean, as soon as I said that before, everybody started blowing me up in the chat like, nah, not happening. Nah, not happening. He doesn't even want to interview. I mean, who knows what he's going to do? There's obviously still time to get interviewed. And as Richie said, he was, a Super Bowl champion head coach just a few years ago. So I wouldn't write it off, guys. I really wouldn't write it off. Maybe my claim that he's going to be hired was a little bold, but I wouldn't write it off. I mean, as they've made very clear, as the organization has made very clear, they're casting a wide net for this coaching search, and they're not going to leave any stones unturned. And, I really wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Doug Peterson was going to interview. He only got let go, a few hours ago. So whatever he says now, you got to take with a grain of salt. Who knows what he's going to do? Who knows if he's going to take a year off? Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. So I just wouldn't write it off. I wouldn't write it off completely at this point.
Yeah, man. Anything can happen. Ali said himself that he predicts that Peterson's not even going to take interviews. So Ali, you want to expand on that?
So at the top of the hour on ESPN, Sal Pal reported that Peterson will take a little bit of time away to think about his future and whether he wants to coach in 2021. So that gives you a little bit of a way. I mean, this is one scenario I was thinking. This is actually your coach, Richie, Eric Bieniemy, coming in. He becomes a head coach. Maybe bring Peterson as a offensive coordinator.
They're both from Andy Reid's tree.
Exactly. I mean, that could be a good matchup because if you bring Eric Bieniemy, that could be attractive, being like, this could be your coordinator now. There's different ways that can do it. I don't want him as my head coach. I don't think he's going to be the head coach. I mean, I think Joe Douglas is way too invested in the search right now. He's doing a wide net search. The search continues. Every reporter I've seen is pretty much saying, like the big time reporter is saying that this is going to be, the Jets are not going to just stop for him. I mean, I know they have a connection. Joe Douglas has a connection, but they're still going to do it. They're still doing their search. Douglas knows what he's doing. Douglas wants to continue and find the right coach because this is the hire that will predict his rest of his future with the Jets organization. This is the guy that he needs to bring in to win us football games. So he knows that he needs to get the right coach, no matter what the connection is. He can't make it personal here. He literally can't. I mean, you got to look at exactly what you've invested in the last week. You've done 9 interviews, the most in the NFL who's looking for a head coach right now. So he needs to stay invested in that. He needs to look at all the options and see which one is the best option for the Jets. I mean, I could see Doug Peterson maybe coming in as offensive coordinator, and I would love that if Eric Bieniemy comes in and Peterson's offensive coordinator. I'm fine with that. I am totally fine, but I would not give him the keys as a head coach unless all of these candidates did terrible in their interviews, which is not possible. I mean, I've heard great news about all these candidates, at least one good thing about each candidate in their interviews. So, I don't think we should be that worried. I know Jets fans are like, oh, we're getting Peterson. Oh, I saw people jumping ship already. I'm a Giants fan now. Like, stop the overreaction. I mean, he just got fired like a couple hours ago. He probably doesn't even know what he's going to do next. That's what it is. He's going to talk to families, and that's what the usual process is. So the Jets are going to continue their search. Doug Peterson's going to figure out what the hell he wants to do, and the Jets fans just need to chill out and enjoy the process.
Yeah, man, and I don't blame Jets fans for freaking out because we've been very, very we've been in the mud for a decade now. So we're very impatient. We want the right guy. And listen, I said this over and over again, and we can all give our opinions on who the Jets should hire, who they shouldn't hire. But at the end of the day, it's in Joe Douglas's shoes to make this decision right. And whoever we do hire, I'm going to be way more confident as it was 2 years. Even though when we when we hired Adam Gase, everyone knew that was a mistake right away. So it wasn't like, oh, yeah. Some people were like, yeah, it's fine. But like, no, everyone knew that was a mistake. This time, Joe Douglas is the one that makes the decision. I'm comfortable with it. Even if it's somebody that I mentioned today that I'm not a fan of. If Joe Douglas decides this is the right guy to lead this organization, then I'm going to trust Joe Douglas's judgment because I really genuinely think he understands what it takes to build a winning organization. And that's where it comes down to. So it's going to be a long search. I feel like they're going to hire somebody in the next one to 2 weeks because they're going to have to bring in their guy. But at the same time, say if they want somebody that's deep in the playoffs, they're probably going to have to wait until they're out of the playoffs. So this can drag along for a while, or it can happen tomorrow. We don't know when the Jets are going to hire their next head coach. It's going to be interesting. We got a donation from V-Man. What's going on, brother? Sam Darnold, 16-game projection, 2,944 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks. Joe Flacco, 16-game projection, 3,392 yards, 24 TDs, 12 picks. Thanks for the projections, my man. Always appreciate the donation.
Good looks, V-Man. We appreciate you.
Always appreciate you. So let's talk about something else besides the coaching search. That is a big update for the Jets. I actually just uploaded a video about this morning for those guys that saw it. The New York Jets have the 2nd and 23rd pick in the first round. And guys, I don't think we understand how important and how much of a big deal it is that we got the 23rd pick from the Seahawks. Because when we first got that, when we first traded Jamal Adams, and I'm like, all right, we got the first round pick for the Seahawks. I expected that to be 27 or later. The difference between 23 and 27 is astronomical. It really is for value sakes, and especially because this draft is so deep with talent, and we should be jumping for joy. This is a time to celebrate. First of all, Jamal Adams lost in the playoffs, and haha, Jamal, like, what up, bro? And also, Joe Douglas's trade looks that much better. We just traded a guy who has 0 interceptions for the whole season, and a guy that's going to demand a large contract for a first and a third this year and a first next year. That's 3 potential players, 2 first rounders that can be part of the turnaround. So that is a huge thing. And also the 2nd round pick is really high as well. That is a 34th overall pick. And we get their 3rd pick. The Seahawks' 3rd pick is going to be higher as well. So everyone give a round of applause to Joe Douglas for doing that trade, because when it happened, we all thought it was going to be a really, really late draft pick. At least I did. When I saw the Seahawks, I'm like, all right, they're a Super Bowl team. It's going to be like a 30th pick or like 32nd potentially. But I was wrong. The Seahawks lost in the first round, and we get that 23rd pick, and that is just awesome. So, Jack, what's your take on the Jets landing the 23rd pick with the Seahawks, and how are you thinking about that? Like, what's your take on the whole trade that Joe Douglas made now after seeing this whole season play out?
I mean, I thought it was a great trade to begin with. Obviously, it sucked losing Jamal. But I think that, no matter how the Seahawks ended up doing this season, I think that it was the good move at the time. Obviously, we were a year, I think just 1 year away from paying Jamal big money, right? So, yeah, I mean, Joe Douglas really, I mean, McDougal ended up being kind of a flop, as we know. But the draft assets that we got for a guy who's going to have to get paid a lot of money by the Seattle Seahawks, and all of a sudden it was kind of Super Bowl or bust for Seattle this year, I think, with that trade, because you're giving up your early draft capital, you're putting yourself in the hole financially, having to pay a safety huge money. And if Jamal didn't end up leaving the way he did, then I would have been down to retain Jamal, because Jamal's a great player and I loved him as a Jet. But Even he even looked like a wizard. Joe Douglas, I'm speaking of. He even looked like a wizard after we drafted Ashton Davis. Because we draft Ashton Davis. I mean, I'm not saying he's on Jamal's level, but we draft a safety and then get rid of Jamal Adams. So it's just like it just felt like I don't know. It just felt like, is Joe Douglas like a genius? Like, does he can he see the future? So I think that it was a great trade. I think that the Jets definitely won the trade. I stand by that. And now we're looking at the 2nd and the 23rd overall pick, and that's a beautiful thing, man. The options are. Joe Douglas loves options. He doesn't want to be locked into anything. He likes. I mean, we see that already. He likes accumulating capital. He likes accumulating draft picks, seeing what he can do, seeing what kind of trades he can make, what different free agents he could bring in. He loves having his options. He doesn't like to lock himself into anything. And having the 2nd and the 23rd overall pick is options for days, baby. Is is he going to trade away? Like what's he going to do with this 2nd overall pick? I think about it every day. I know you guys do too. I cannot wait to be live with you guys during the draft. That's going to be such a fun night. It's going to be crazy. I'm so excited and anxious. Yeah, anxious to see what Joe Douglas is going to do with these 2 picks, man, because the options really are limitless. Is he going to trade it away? Is he going to take a quarterback? Is he going to roll with Sam and take this freakish tackle? What are we going to do with the 23rd pick? Like, are we gonna what position are we looking to attack with that? Is it going to be a secondary, or is it going to be another receiver or something? I don't know. It could be. It's so many options. So I'm just super excited to see what he's going to do with his 2nd draft as our general manager. He should have had 3 drafts. This should have been his 3rd draft. I'll never understand that. I bring it up all the time, but I'll never understand firing McCagnon after you let him draft. This should be Joe Douglas's 3rd draft. Unfortunately, it's just his 2nd. I'd be very curious to see where we'd be as a franchise if Joe Douglas had drafted that year instead of McCagnon, but it is what it is. I'm just excited to see Joe Douglas taking the reins of this organization.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a very fun offseason, and we're already underway, and the draft is going to be insane. So, Ali, what do you expect from this draft with these couple picks? And give your little overall take about how this trade's looking like after we know that it's the 23rd overall pick.
I think the trade works out for both guys, both parties. I think Jamal Adams is happy in Seattle. The Jets are happy with their pick. I mean, it's just how it is. I know we have bad blood with Jamal Adams, but I mean, whatever. He's happy. He's there. And that's the reason I didn't want to pay him. I mean, he can't change the outcome of a game. He cannot change. They cannot win a Super Bowl because of that safety. They're going to win because of Russell Wilson and that offense. That's how they're going to win that game. Jamal Adams, I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that he did. And, and by the way, we beat the Rams. So the Jets, the Adam Gase Jets beat the Rams. So, I mean, it's a weird league, but I mean, it worked out for both sides. And, I think the 23rd pick is really big for especially attracting a coach. Tonight we see Fields. And if he lights it up, that 2nd pick heats up. I mean, that number 2 overall pick heats up. And do the Jets take Justin Fields? Yeah. I mean, if he heats up tonight and he's the hot shot right now, I think that you take Fields and they get a new head coach, you draft that guy. And, my thing is the Jets should go full course for Allen Robinson in free agency. And I think that should be how we enter the draft, having Allen Robinson as wide receiver 1. That's my dream scenario, and I hope they pay big money. I know that's not Joe Douglas' way to pay money, but he has to pay money for Allen Robinson because that's how good he is, and he could be a really big target for whoever is quarterback next season. And that makes the 23rd pick a little bit, what are they going to do? Are they going to go with the tackle? Are they going to get off the line? Are they going to go wide receiver? Are they going to go cornerback? You don't know. And you can trade down. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with 23. I mean, there's, I like the USC lineman Elijah Tucker. He's solid. I like the Ohio State wide receiver. Depending on if we do not get Allen Robinson back, I think Allen Robinson is projected to hit free agency and not stay in Chicago. So that's a good thing for the Jets. Go full head of steam and grab him. So again, I think having the 2nd overall pick and the 23rd overall pick is huge for the Jets because the Jets could get 2 potential starters for week 1. And they can, like start building it the right way. And that offense needs a big boost from last season. And, those 2 picks could do that.
You got that right. I see that we got 130 people in the stream right now. If you guys are new, make sure you smash that like button. We have around 40 likes. Let's see if we could run this up to 50 plus likes. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you run it up for your boys. We enjoy going live every single Monday with you guys, and it's fun. It's fun. So I'm going to give my little take on the Jets having the second 23rd overall pick. I already made a video on this, so if you guys want to see my in-depth breakdown of it, make sure you check out the video after the stream is over. So this trade is looking way better, as we know. What I want them to do with this what I predict the Jets to do with the 23rd pick is to trade it. I know for a fact Joe Douglas is looking at it, and he's already on the phone. Who am I trading back with? Because I want as many draft picks as possible to build this team the right way. And if you go back in history and see which teams have traded back from the 23rd pick, they get a lot from it. They can get back into, say, for example, the Jets trade the 23rd pick and then they accumulate the 27th pick and they get an additional 2nd and 3rd in that same draft. Yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. So I think the position, what they do with that 23rd pick, or at least what they do with their second first-round pick, is I think they're going to tackle the interior offensive line because that is a weakness. And we know Joe Douglas says it every single year, every single press conference. You win at the line of scrimmage from the offensive and defensive perspective. We are very lucky to have a dominant interior defensive line. So we are there. I think he's going to bring in one player in the draft probably, and that interior defensive line probably later on in the draft, so we can get in a rookie that can develop underneath Quinnen and Foley and Jonathan Franklin Myers. That would be a smart thing to do. But I'm looking at a guy like Wyatt Davis, who is a very good interior offensive lineman. There's a lot of guys that I would love Joe Douglas to get, and we need to beef up that interior offensive line because we see the defensive line is there. If we can get the offensive line going, we'll be there. So a team that I like to compare the Jets to, or at least the vision of construction of roster, is the Indianapolis Colts. I know they lost, but their formula or their brand of football is punching you in the mouth at the line of scrimmage. They win and breathe football at the line of scrimmage on both the offensive and defensive lines. You see Jonathan Taylor, excellent running back, excellent offensive line. You see the defense just absolutely getting to the quarterback, stopping the run. And that's what Joe Douglas is trying to build here for the New York Jets. And I know that he's going to draft a lot more offensive linemen. He's going to go out there and tackle a lot of offensive linemen in free agency as well. So that's really what I expect him to do. But we will see. Am I right? So let's talk about something else that we haven't discussed yet at all. Is it realistic to trade for Deshaun Watson? So as we know, Deshaun Watson is unhappy in Houston, and there's rumors everywhere that the Texans might have to trade Deshaun Watson just because he's very unhappy because the Houston Texans went out there and hired a GM without his say. They didn't have any interest in Eric Bieniemy, and that's who Watson wanted. So if Watson is definitely on the trade market, would it make sense to trade for Deshaun Watson? My answer to that is no. The only reason why is because I don't want to trade everything we have on this roster for Deshaun Watson, just for Deshaun Watson to be in the same situation he was in the Texans and basically have no support around him. So that's my take, but I'm going to go deeper into it after I hear Jack and Elise take. So Jack, is it realistic that the Jets trade for Deshaun Watson?
No, because and Joe Douglas, I think, understands this. We're not a quarterback away from being a winning football team. First of all, we could have drafted Deshaun Watson. We did not. So, too little, too late, man. Just like you said, Rich, he would not be any happier here than he would be in Houston. And you know what? Joe Douglas he's not gonna give up everything and drain the bank just to bring in Deshaun Watson. I love Deshaun Watson. He's fun to watch. He's a fantastic football player, but he wouldn't be any happier here than he's on the Jets. Joe Douglas is going to do what he's going to do to set this team up for the future, financially and from a player's perspective as well. Obviously, Deshaun's a great player, but I just don't think it would work. I even go as far as saying, if we have, it's not like we have a struggling 40-year-old quarterback at the end of his career. Like, Sam Darnold is coming off of a terrible year, but in reality, he's 23 years old, and we can't forget that Sam Darnold was a big part of why Joe Douglas wanted to come to the Jets and be the general manager here in the first place. So let's say Fields lights it up tonight. I wouldn't put it past Joe Douglas to, trade the pick to a second pick to an even more quarterback needy organization and roll with 23-year-old Sam Darnold and see what happens, because Joe Douglas he's not the kind of guy that's really going to make those radical moves. He's more conservative, and he's going to put a lot of thought into it and take his time with these crucial decisions. And so, something like bringing in Watson would not be something that he would do. And like I just said, I would even go as far to say that if Fields really proves that he's legit in a game in this game tonight, then he would even trade the pick back. I wouldn't put any of that past him. I feel like that's what he does, and I feel like that's the moves he likes to make. And he just wants to, like I said before, he just wants options. He doesn't want to be limited. He wants to acquire as many draft picks as he can for this team. And, obviously bringing in Deshaun Watson's not going to do that. So I don't think it would be realistic. But, yeah, that's just I veered off a little bit there, but I just wanted to make that point. I just wanted to make that point that, we still have a 23-year-old quarterback, and I wouldn't be shocked at any move Joe Douglas makes. Honestly, I think he's going to keep his options open all the time.
For sure. And that 23-year-old quarterback could be your quarterback next year. Just so you guys know, not saying it's the right move or not, but a lot of people are just saying it's guaranteed the Jets are moving on from him. Not guaranteed, but there's definitely a very good chance they do move on. With that being said, Ali, is it realistic to trade for Deshaun Watson?
Oh, man. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's also possible. I mean, there's different ways that can happen. I know he's unhappy in Houston, and I think he will be on the move, but I don't know if it'll be the New York Jets. They have a new GM there, and if he leaves, they're going to get a new quarterback. So if Justin Fields, this is hypothetical, if Justin Fields tonight goes off, would the Jets trade the number 2 pick? Maybe give him what pick do Houston have this year? I have no idea.
They don't have a pick.
They don't have a pick. So
it's the third pick that belongs to the Dolphins.
So if they want Justin Fields, would Joe Douglas would want to trade for Deshaun Watson, a guy that has proven talent? I mean, honestly, if you look at it, behind Patrick Mahomes, I would put Deshaun Watson, who's in the younger ages, not like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers and all, Drew Brees and all them. But I would put Deshaun Watson right beyond. Deshaun Watson has all the talent in the world as a quarterback. I mean, even with the bad offensive line, DeAndre Hopkins being gone, he still produced great stats. I mean, he's a franchise quarterback. And, if the Jets didn't have to give too much, I'll be for it in a way. To get Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson he's a franchise quarterback. He is a quarterback that's good already in this league. I mean, he is a guy that could make this team's offense really good. Obviously, Douglas wants to build this team from the ground, and that's why I don't see it happening, because he wants those draft picks. He wants those draft picks to build an actual team. He wants his quarterback that he wants, if it's Sam Darnold or a rookie. But if Eric Bieniemy comes in, man, that's a really good asset to pursue Deshaun Watson to us. I mean, Eric, that's who he wants as his head coach. And if Eric Bieniemy comes to the Jets somehow, you can figure out a way to get him there. And anything could happen in this league. Who knew Hopkins was going to be gone last year? We didn't know Hopkins would be traded to Arizona last year. So anything could happen, but I just don't see it happening. But I mean, the New York Jets Twitter, all these places would literally explode if we got Deshaun Watson, because he's that talented of a player.
Yeah, man, he is that talented of a player. And my really take on it is I don't think it's realistic, to be honest. Would it make sense? Would I love Deshaun Watson as a Jet? For sure. He's definitely one of my favorite quarterbacks in this league that's young and upcoming. But I just don't think it makes sense for the Jets where they are right now. Like Jack said, we are not a quarterback away from competing. I still genuinely think, and a lot of people disagree, that Sam Darnold is a good enough quarterback to to succeed in this league with real coaching in the NFL. That's how I feel. Whether that's on the Jets or that's not on the Jets, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be a Jet next year. That's my prediction. But I genuinely still think that we're not a quarterback away. Like, for example, if you put Desean Watson on the Jets this year with Adam Gase and everything, I guarantee he'll put up better numbers than Sam Darnold, but I don't think we're going to win a lot of games. It's just you can't – the quarterback position is the biggest position in all sports where you need everything around you to work. If you're in a mess, then you're not going to succeed in the NFL. I mean, you saw what Deshaun Watson did with the Texans this year. He put up such good numbers statistically, but the Houston Texans were a bad team. They had a terrible defense, terrible coach, and they were a losing franchise. So that's really what I have to say about it. I don't think it makes sense, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Jets do because they have a lot of options when it comes to the quarterback spot. They can either trade for Deshaun, which I don't think is going to happen. They can either draft a quarterback, they can trade back and then draft the quarterback later, or they can keep Sam Darnold. So opportunities are endless. So
can I just say one thing?
Of course.
Sam Darnold had Adam Gase developing him and calling the plays. That's all I want to say. Just think about that. Everybody in the chat that's hating on Sam, just think about that. Adam Gase was calling the plays and charged with developing Sam for the last 2 years. Just think about that.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Probably the worst head coach I've ever seen in my life. But moving on from Sam, let's talk about a quarterback prospect that we'll be watching tonight. Justin Fields will be kicking off a national championship game tonight. So me personally, I do not think this game determines Justin Fields getting drafted to the Jets or not. I think Joe Douglas has an idea if he wants to draft Justin Fields before this game or even before the week before. They do not look at one game to determine if you're going to be my quarterback. They do really deep research into their previous games. How are they off the field? What's their work ethic? What's their mind like? What can they do with adversity? So whatever Justin Fields does tonight, to me, it doesn't do anything to Joe Douglas's brain. The only thing it does is it boosts the value for the pick, and it gets Jets fans overexcited on Twitter. That's what's going to do tonight. So, Ali, what's your expectations for Justin Fields tonight, and what do you think of an impact it's going to have?
I've been hating on Justin Fields for a while. People have noticed that about me. I was more of a Zach Wilson guy. I just liked him overall. But, he shut me up after his performance against Clemson. And then I started watching more film on him, and he has resilience. I mean, he could throw the deep ball. He's very good on the run. And, there's a lot of – I feel like Wilson and Fields are very questionable prospects. There's a lot of holes in both games, but they're both fixable. It all depends on which head coach comes in and which one fits the scheme better. Which one is the best? I mean, when Joe Douglas is conducting these interviews, he's probably asking every single coach, like, what exactly do you want? What exactly do you want to do with this head coaching position, at this quarterback position? What are you trying to figure out? Do you want to keep Darnold on this roster? We have the number 2 pick. Do you want Fields? Do you want Wilson? That's what they're trying to figure out. Who do you want to coach? I mean, you got to do it the right way. You need to know the coach. He needs to pick the whatever quarterback because he's coaching him. I mean, that's the most important thing. I know Joe Douglas is going to have his opinion and all that stuff, but tonight's game is very important. Whether it's Jets trading down or they're taking a quarterback. If they want Justin Fields, they have a chance of taking Justin Fields. If Justin Fields throws 4 touchdowns today, he will number 2 pick is a hot pick. Very, very hot. I mean, there's going to be teams after him. I feel like the Falcons could be also after him, honestly, because I think they're going to get rid of Matt Ryan. And I think he would be a great fit in Atlanta. So all these teams would maybe want to jump up and draft Justin Fields because the Jets have the key. I mean, I know they don't have Trevor Lawrence in their hand, but Justin Fields is lining it up. He beat Trevor Lawrence in the national championship while hurt. I mean, he light it up while hurt. He has resilience. He's a guy that he's shown that he could possibly be a franchise quarterback, and tonight will show a lot. I mean, I know it's one game, but you look at all the rest of the games. He has bad games like every quarterback does, but he has been consistent. When he has a bad game, he gets better at what he does, and he improves in that one space that he did bad that other past game. That's what I've noticed in his game so far. So I think, I am getting more and more intrigued by Justin Fields. But tonight's going to be a very big game for him.
For sure. Jack, what's your game preview for tonight? What are you expecting from Justin Fields?
Obviously he shocked everybody beating Trevor Lawrence. And as Ali mentioned, he was facing a lot of adversity during that game physically. And that was very impressive. I mean, Ali really just said everything I could possibly say about the guy. But, Richie, you said it best before. I mean, all tonight's really going to do is potentially up the value of the pick and just make Twitter go nuts and just make people change their banners and stuff like that. So like that's what it's going to be tonight. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, man. If you guys see Justin Fields throw a touchdown, just check on Jets Twitter and they're going to be exploding.
Oh my God.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun place to be. It's a fun place to be for passionate fans.
Sickening is what it is. It's sickening.
You don't like Jets Twitter, Jack? You're not a fan?
Oh, I'm just like, I love it. I love interacting with everybody, but like, it's just crazy, man. Jets fans are certifiably nuts. And I get it because we've just been tortured for 50 years. But Jets fans are just crazy, man. They really are. They're just nuts. We're all insane.
We are all insane. And that's why we're so passionate, because we care and we love our team to death. And any little ounce of hope that we see somewhere, we can hold on to, because that's the only feeling of joy and wisdom that we have. You know what I mean? Like, we suck. So we see a guy potentially light it up, potentially be our quarterback. So we just overjoyously attach to him and feel blissful because we can't feel that with our own organization. It's sad, but it's the truth, because that's how bad this New York Jets team is. So to finish off the stream, we're going to open this up to a quick, very quick, not Knicks Q&A, sorry, Jets Q&A. So if you guys want to send in any questions in the chat, send them in and we will answer them. So
let's go Sam Darnold, baby. Sam Darnold, the future of the New York Jets.
You still think so?
Future of the New York Jets. I mean, I don't know. I just like being on the side of the underdog. I'm a Jets fan, clearly.
I would not be pissed off. Like, that's the thing. Like, people are thinking I'll be pissed off if Sam Darnold's a quarterback. I will not be pissed off at all. If it's the right guy at head coach. If it's the right guy that can fix him. If he can fix him 100% and he knows he can fix Sam Darnold, yeah. I mean, Adam Gase, obviously, he's a terrible head coach. He ruined him. But he's regressed badly. I mean, the last 2 years, he regressed 100%. Badly, and that's very concerning to me. That's what my concern with him is, and I want a quarterback that's not damaged goods. That's what I want. I want a fresh start for Sam and a fresh start for us. We're getting a new head coach. Get a fresh start. I know Sam Darnold probably wants a new start. I mean, he's probably done. He's not going to say that to the media because that's how nice he is. But I think he wants a new start. He wants a new team. He wants to figure it out by himself. But, like, man, I mean, it's just so intriguing just to get a new head quarterback. But honestly, I would not mind Sam Darnold being quarterback, but I think he's done in New York. That's the one thing I think.
I feel like so it's either roll with Sam.
Let's open up Sam. No more Q&A. Continue.
So it's either roll with Sam, who's at least proven that he can do something in the NFL. I mean, this year was a regression for sure, but in his second year, he improved statistically in every category from the first year. So I do want to mention that. He did not have a bad sophomore season. He didn't light it up, but he improved from his rookie year in every category. More touchdowns, less picks, better completion percentage, everything. So, I just don't understand how you can call him damaged goods. It's not like he's Phillip Rivers, and he's old as hell. He's 23 years old and he's coming off of one bad season with Adam Gase as the head coach. Like, I don't understand how everybody's like just so willing to just write this kid off. He's 23 years old. So you either stick with a 23-year-old and build up more assets for your team to be successful in the future, or use that second pick to bring in an unproven talent. Yes, he's doing well in college, but you can't really compare college football to the NFL. It's like comparing night and day.
And just
So
to add on to that real quick, Jack, real quick, I just want to say, like, there's so many quarterbacks in this league that's been successful, that's been terrible in their first 3 or 4 seasons, such as Eli Manning, Kurt Warner. There's guys that it took them a long time to develop. And not saying Sam is going to be that type of player, but you just got to realize not every single quarterback can come into the league and play well right away. They all have terrible seasons. Giants fans were writing off Eli Manning in his first 3 seasons because he was terrible, and then he becomes a 2-time Super Bowl champion for the New York Giants. So I just want to say Sam Darnold is the still record-leading youngest quarterback to ever start week 1. So I'm not saying that's any excuses. I'm not bringing up any excuses for Sam Darnold, but he's a young guy. I think the Jets move on from him. I think it'll be best situations for both sides. But if the Jets do decide to hold on to him, I have trust in the Jets organization and Joe Douglas to build around him finally to get the right coach in the building. So that really does it for Monday Night Sports Talk. I appreciate everybody coming in here and have your little debates in the chat and just coming in and listening to Jack Ali and myself talk about the New York Jets. And listen, if you guys disagree with anything we're saying, it's totally okay. We're supposed to disagree. We're supposed to have debates. That's what's so great about sports. We all do not align on opinions. That's why there's so many different fans. We're all different fan bases. And then there's players that we're all fans of, not fans of. So this is supposed to be a healthy environment. We appreciate everybody tuning into Monday Night Sports Talk. Stay tuned next week. And that does it for this one. Let's go Jets and enjoy the game tonight for Justin Fields. Peace out, guys.
Peace. See you guys.